All right, so thanks everybody for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about humanizing your employer brand, specifically around some things that we can do on social media from an individual and organizational perspective. We're joined here with Katrina, who is a social media recruiting guru over in the UK. And we're just going to have a pretty informal conversation about this topic. We also have a Twitter hashtag. You can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a feed for hashtag NextWaveEB, like NextWave Employer Branding. You can tweet at that hashtag and we'll try to answer some of your questions if any come in throughout the course of our conversation. And we'll also be tweeting out some of the key takeaways from today during and after the Google Hangout. So thanks a lot, Katrina, for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And Katrina, do you mind just sort of giving a brief introduction on yourself and kind of some of the work that you've done in and around this space?
Sure. So as you said, I'm a social recruiting specialist. I have about 10 years of recruitment experience and started using social media about that long ago as well. I think 2006 I started using it. So actually I've probably got more than 10 years experience. And I have been honored to travel the globe speaking and training companies on how to best use social media as another recruitment channel to finding people, because obviously all the barriers got broken down when social media exploded. And I spend a lot of time now also talking about candidate engagement, because obviously social media's got so busy, so it's quite hard to get people to respond. So I think that's how you and I ended up chatting about this particular webinar, that whole keeping everything quite personal now. Companies range from SMEs in the tech space right up to blue chips. I've done it all, and all over the place as well. I've been very honored. So huge range of clients. It's exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I guess I should probably give a background on myself, because I realize a lot of the people listening today are probably first time listeners to one of our webinars. My name's Phil. I'm the founder of NextWave Hire, Boston-based software company that helps companies build their employer brands, humanize their employer brands through employee testimonials, text and video testimonials that live on your careers page and your social media, email marketing campaigns to candidates, basically everywhere that they research you. And of course, if you want to learn more about NextWave, just go to nextwavehire.com. So to kind of jump into this topic, why, I guess to set the stage, like, why are we on this Hangout today? Like, why does employer branding matter? Why should people be paying attention to this topic?
So I would take it back a bit further, like just to even just call it reputation. I think technology broke down the barriers. So today it's like, I mean, I love the fact the likes of Glassdoor, for example, use the expression Glassdoor, because it really is, companies are transparent. You can see in. But also on the flip side, the employees can see out, so they can actually see what's going on with other companies, what job opportunities are available. So all of the power's gone to the employees, rather than the employer used to be, you will do what you're told, Phil, and you go do this and you just do it. Whereas now it's kind of all switched around, and it's all thanks to technology making everything so open and clear. And so therefore people are happy to move, but they want to move somewhere better. So they go look it up and see what people are saying, because it's all very important. So what are employees saying on social media? What's being said about, the company? Even if you don't want to call it employer brand, it's just what's being said about the company out there. And is that stopping you from hiring? So I think the fact is that a lot of companies have ignored it for a really long time, not realizing how much chit chat's going on out there on social media or just on the internet in general. So therefore it's made it difficult to hire. And now they're suddenly going, oh my God, I have to do something about this because we can't hire. Why is that? Oh, well, look, our reputation's really bad over here. So let's sort it out. So I think that's why it's become so incredibly important. And also because the market switched back around. The recession's long gone.
Yeah.
So it's become tough.
So basically, if I'm an employee, it's a more efficient marketplace where I can go and I can learn about the great opportunity down the street pretty simply. And therefore, the company's reputation really matters because it's a more efficient marketplace.
Yeah.
And I guess what's interesting is you said it makes it harder to hire. And when I think about hiring, it's kind of a zero-sum game. If it's harder for some people, it's probably going to be easier for other people.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Are there companies where it's easy for them to hire now?
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Are there companies where it's easier for them to hire now in this new kind of like age of transparency?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's all the hip cool that everyone wants to go and work for some reason, who've created a fantastic brand, so therefore they find it easier. But I mean, just taking it back a step and just thinking how much it's changed. I mean, I was training these managing directors, and we're going back quite a few years, on how to present themselves well on social media. It was a bizarre piece of work. And one of them turned on me at the end and he said, "You're the reason my staff are being poached." And I was just trying not to answer him in my usual blunt Australian way and trying to come up with a British answer instead. And it was just like, well, no, I'm not really. Technology is the reason. So it's that ability to, instead of when I started out in my career, I went to the newspaper on a Sunday, saw one little advertisement, and there could have been 500 or 5,000 people applying for that job. I didn't know. So therefore my boss kind of had a hold over me, whereas now I can see how many jobs there are. So even besides the fact I can see all the reputation side, I have the confidence to move as an employee. So because it's different. So it's had to happen. There's just a lot of companies that haven't done it yet, and they're sort of a bit late to the party with looking after their people. So all of the terms we hear now, engagement and culture and, feeling part of belonging to a company and all this sort of stuff, they've all come about because the door's been opened. And you can see how many jobs are around, as you said, the confidence to leave. I'm not sure I answered your question, but it's very true that those that are, because it's more than just having a brand, in my humble opinion. It has to be true. So you have to look after your people, and your people have to be happy, or it doesn't matter how much of a brand you put on it or a pretense you put on it, people will find out and leave within 3 months. So it's more important than just what you're saying out there, which is why I like your testimonial idea, because it's really genuine. If the people are happy, they'll genuinely put a testimonial saying, "I love working here."
Yeah. What's interesting is in the first part of the conversation, we were talking about why employer branding matters today. Your example was, well, look, if you're in your current job and you see how great it is down the street, then you leave, which actually is more of a retention and sort of cultural employee engagement sort of issue, as opposed to an external facing branding issue.
But to me, they're the same, you see. Because I just think if the employees aren't happy, then the brand's not going to be happy. The brand's not going to look happy. That was a weird thing to say, but you know what I mean? But it's got to be true, because you can just go and look it up and find out if it's true or not. And I don't just mean on the obvious sites like Glassdoor. Obviously there's Indeed reviews as well. But what are people saying on Facebook? What are they saying on Twitter? What are they saying on Instagram? What are people chit-chatting about? What are they sharing? There's a lot gets revealed on Snapchat. So it's got to be true.
Yeah.
And I do think it starts with employees. Sorry?
I always sort of relate this back to my consumer behavior. And one of the last big things I bought was a new golf club, a new driver. And honestly, the thing that sort of like made me buy it was a few things that I saw on Twitter, where this company had created a hashtag and their customers, kind of like people's employees, would tweet out like, "Hey, like here's a video of me hitting this," and it's just some random average person, right?
Yeah.
It's not high quality, it's not scripted, but it kind of, there's a real affinity towards these clubs. And this is a person who looks like me. It's not Tiger Woods hitting the golf ball. So that's
too, he does that from the and interestingly, because Craig Fisher was talking about that, because he works at CA Technologies, and he was calling it employee branding, which I really loved, because in a way that reflects exactly what you're doing as well. It's coming from the employees. So they've created a company hashtag, and they actually sent out summer care kits, which had things like sunscreen and a towel, but with the hashtag share your photos of your holiday. And they've done another one recently, which is all for pets, because they actually have a pet bereavement time off, and new pet, you get time off. It's like quite incredible how they look after their staff. So the staff share the photos using the hashtag, and then they get reposted onto the corporate site if they're appropriate, of course, and get shared and create a real buzz and a real energy that, again, is genuine. That seeing exactly what the people are doing and how they're bought into the company. So so it's taking that consumer mentality into the employer side, whichever you like to call it, the company, the rest of it.
So I guess my my original question was what
Mm.
are the companies who are doing well, and how are they doing it? And I guess the answer to that question is just it's the companies who are maybe doing like this hashtag campaign type of thing and just sort of
Yeah, that, or I mean, others I see that you wouldn't have even heard of. So Fletcher's Solicitors, who are a small solicitor firm up the northwest of England. Sarah Duxbury, their head of people, I mean, is really campaigning behind it. They just genuinely do great stuff, and they share the great stuff that they do, and they really are a family feel. And what's so nice is when I went there to train them, when I walked in, it felt how it looked from the outside. And you'll see things like on Glassdoor where people come in for an interview, and even if they've said no, you can see from their reviews that it was genuinely like that. So they're just an SME who is still managing to show what they really like. And the other one I thought did it really well was Zalando Tech in Germany. Zalando is a big online retailer. They've got about 10,000 staff. You would not know. They feel like a startup. And they're just behind Amazon in the ratings in Germany for e-commerce. And again, the same kind of thing, this genuine feeling of family that the people just share out onto social media. And it's just from them doing their own posts and it being passed on. The marketing, of course, get wind of it, again, as we said, with the hashtags and things like that to keep track of it. So they do it as well. And actually, another one, which I saw, which I thought was really interesting and another way to share stuff. So the recruitment team at Fossil have actually got a WhatsApp group. So when they're out and about, they take photos of themselves in front of Fossil stores on their holidays and have been putting them in the WhatsApp and then collating them and using them elsewhere. So showing their pride of working for the company as well, which was another really quite cool and easy thing to do. But just taking the power of the people that are already working there. So it's just little things. But I think video and photos are the way forward because people just get bought into them really quickly and they're genuine.
And is that what you're getting at when we talk about humanizing your employer brand? Can you talk a little bit about that theme and like what that means?
Yeah. So I was always saying to you that I'm much more about what the recruiter's doing. So I think with the noise that's out there now, you have to look like somebody worth replying to. So there are a lot of recruiters out there, their profiles aren't filled out. They haven't got any recommendations from anyone they've hired. They don't even have a photograph. You know, they just couldn't be bothered. It's like if you send me a message or you leave me a message and I Google you, and like you and I, we've got unusual names. We're pretty high up there on Google. What are you saying about yourself? Are you worth talking to? Oh, I don't want to talk to you. So because they're the front door to the company, even before the brand. They're the people that are doing that initial candidate outreach and saying, okay, here we are. I'm letting you know that we've got an opportunity. So, you know, here's Katrina from the search holder just saying, I'm hiring this person. So you're then going to then look at the company. But sometimes you don't even know. If you're not active in the job search, you won't think to go and look at that company. But you will after you've looked at them, you will then go and see what's being said. So, but I just think that recruiters have to take the time to show that they know their market. They know how to treat job seekers well, or candidates well. They're presenting themselves well online. But also giving them something to talk to. Not, I'm stuffy corporate Katrina over here on LinkedIn, but it's like, actually, no, I've got a personality. Let's share that personality.
Yeah, so this advice is really even to the individual recruiter who's sending emails and calling people and basically saying like, hey, we've got this software engineering job and you can really take a look at it. And this passive candidate who's super happy working at Zalando or Facebook or Amazon or whatever is getting this, and they're like, well, I'm not really looking for a job. And when I do my 30 seconds of research on you on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever it is, you look like the 100 other people who contacted me in the last quarter.
Exactly.
And so you're not a person who's worth responding to.
No. Whereas if you're showing some passion for what you're doing, so, you know, I mean, even on boring LinkedIn, you can put, actually, if you're recruiting developers on LinkedIn, there's something wrong with you. But anyway, that's another whole conversation for another day. But, but, you know, if you've at least got some pictures in your profile, you know, you can add the files, you can add links back to your jobs, you can, you know, show little stories of what your employees are doing. What is it about what your employees are doing day to day? What do your developers do day to day? And video put onto your LinkedIn profile as well, or tweet it out and share it, just showing that you're worth talking to and you're standing out from the crowd. And I think, oh, I've forgotten her name. She works at AO.com. She recruits a lot of developers, and she gives so much reassurance on her profile. She's standing in front of a board that's got code written all over it, so they can immediately see that she kind of gets what code is. And then in her profile, she's like, I've got 10 years of technology recruitment. I understand what you're talking about, so talk to me. And then she's got recommendations from people she's hired saying, I understand how to recruit you people, you know, and it really, really helps because she stands out. I wish I could think what her name is. That's so bad. It's gone out of my head. But it's standing out from the crowd in that noise. Apparently our attention span is now down to 8 seconds. So, and there's 150 million emails sent every minute. So if you're going to go the email route or the in-mail route, you've really got to stand out. You've got to look like, you know, worth talking to. But I think at the same time, you are sharing that passion for the company, which comes back to the employer branding piece. You know, your marketing will already have collateral that you can use. And as long as it doesn't look like stock images, grab it and use it.
And so to break down a little bit what you're saying, it sounds like there's basically two components. One is a personal branding aspect, like, hey, my name's Phil, and I'm not just some faceless like corporate slave. You know, I understand technology. Maybe I like really into Manchester United or whatever, right? Like
yeah.
And then the second part is on the kind of higher, I would strongly argue, affects your employer brand, that the personal brand of your individual employees. But then at the higher level, you're also saying, look, you've got a company related information about, you know, what's it like to be that developer, or what's it like to be that salesperson or whoever.
Yeah. And what's the career path, and where can you go, and what are we doing, and, you know, what direction are we going as a company? But, you know, I do think it's that, and I do think it's that. I mean, I say this all the time. So anybody, I'm sorry for all of my followers, who follows me gets dog photos. If you're following me and you're not a dog person, sorry. But that's what people talk to me about. That's what my clients talk to me about. It's that the human stuff. It's like, yeah, look, I can see Katrina, it really is a social recruiting guru. It's great stuff about it. But actually, I just want to talk about that dog photo or the fox photo or whatever I've shared in my life and what's going on. And I'm hoping you can't hear them because they're currently being really noisy behind me, as if on cue. But it's that's, yeah, I mean, yes, you do need to make sure that you're not putting the company in a bad light as well, by being too open, you know, the drunken photos on a Saturday night. But at the same time, just being human, being approachable. Even that, like, profile pictures, I see so many where people look scary. It's like, were you in a bad mood when you had that photo taken? Because I would not want to talk to you. But it's
where are you sharing this? You're sharing it on Twitter, LinkedIn, a combination? Is there something that's better for one channel versus another?
It's I mean, you know, whenever I'm speaking, I'm always talking to lots of recruiters and lots of HR professionals, and they're saying to me that, you know, people aren't responding, but if they're making the effort, and those that I've trained and I watch them, they make an effort to look great online, they're getting better responses because they're talking to people as people. I mean, one of the biggest shifts I've noticed is people are saying it's much better to talk about career, not specific job as well. Like that one little change by going, hey, Phil, you've got the skills we regularly recruit for, but what's your career path? What's your plan? And then people are more inclined to talk to you because they're sick of being approached by that, you know, nondescript recruiter who's just going, oh, I need to fill this job and I need to do it now. Like, yeah, we know that. But if you're a developer, you're getting that all day. If somebody came at it from a different tack going, wow, you know, really, I'm sure you get approached all the time, but this is our career path. What's your plan? Do they match? You can't, they're going to sit up. So I think I'm going a bit off tangent.
So the specific advice, I guess, to a recruiter is show off your personality, and that can be, you know, personal stuff like, hey, I'm really into dogs. And like, here's some pictures of dogs that I like. And you're like,
yeah, or even it's, I mean, I guess it's also when it comes to, you know, I teach a lot of tools that show, you know, again, here's Phil on LinkedIn and here's Phil over here on Twitter. So it's showing that you've made the effort. And perhaps I see Phil's got dog and I go, oh, I see you've got one of those, I've got one of these. And you will naturally start a conversation about that. And people will be much more open to that than the initial job hunt. It's like the wooing, isn't it? It's the getting to know people. But I also think it comes down to when you're talking to somebody about their benefits and things like that as well. So once you've actually caught their attention. So if I know you've got dogs but don't have children, well, I'm not going to talk to you about the flexible working hours in the nursery. I'll talk to you about the bring dog to work policy, because that's probably going to get your attention more than the other one. And it's just the knowing that you've done that little bit of research. And yes, I am talking about recruiters more than marketers in this particular instance, but just making the effort. But I just think we got away with all of this automation and forgotten that people are people, and they have likes and dislikes and different ways of doing things, and we just need to remember that. We became a bit too corporate there for a while.
Yeah.
Got away from it all.
So and it sounds like your advice, even so, it's going beyond now my personal like brand or employer brand. It's really about figuring out that other person on the other end of the communication and what they're into, what they care about, and then tailoring the message, because nobody wants to get spam in their inbox or their in-mail box.
Yeah, I mean, so I was, the clients I had yesterday were all health sector, NHS, nurses, high demand, really hard to recruit. So it's like knowing that you've seen on their Facebook profile that they're single, so maybe they could relocate. So that's an easier give. Or you see that they've visited a certain place. So again, it's an easier, because you can go, well, I need you to relocate, and I see that you visit. Well, you wouldn't say you visited maybe from Facebook, but you might say, oh, I saw that tweet that showed that you'd been to this location. Does that mean you come and live here? So if you've done that bit of research, it's an easier conversation. Or if you can see immediately they've got kids, or maybe they can't relocate, maybe you can offer something, another way of talking to them. But I am talking about those that are in short supply. I'm not talking about obviously where, there are people I'm sure who are on this call who just want fewer applications. But that goes back to your employer branding. When you want fewer applications, if you keep it real, then you'll get fewer applications, because you'll get people that will join you who want to join you. So for example, must not say who the company is, High Street, I don't know if you call it High Street, like they're one of the cheap, cheerful clothing outlets here in the UK. I don't think they're global. I think they go east. I don't think they go to the US. Have this habit of interviewing their buyers up in posh London offices and then sticking them in a really shocking office out in the M4, and they will leave within 3 months. So it's because they're not keeping it real. So it's that. So if you're in that high volume and actually you want to get people to deselect, also keep it really real. I've kind of covered the two, I think. So it's late here if I'm not making sense.
Let's say I'm like VP of talent acquisition, or I'm head of employer brand. I've some sort of senior leadership role where I'm thinking about from a high level strategy.
Yeah.
Of anywhere from 2 to 200 recruiters.
Yeah.
How do I build a organization where people are encouraged and they're getting some of the right guidelines to do these things, to show off their own personalities and to show off our company's brand and personality when they're talking to candidates and trying to build our pipeline?
It's a complicated answer, of course, because I do that. They're doing that on the phone. So when they call a candidate, they need to be full of enthusiasm. So it's, you've got these seconds like, hi, Phil, I'm ringing you from the searchologist. Could I please talk to you about this amazing opportunity that I have? Your skills are a perfect set. Can you talk? Blah, blah, blah. From the second they start that call, they are showing their personality in the tone of their voice, in their enthusiasm, in their passion. So really they're not doing anything different. But the problem, you must present yourself online like this, and you mustn't say this, and you mustn't do that. But unfortunately, the world's kind of relaxed. I mean, to the point, which is going to sound weird that I'm saying this, but commuting in yesterday, I'm in London, right? It used to be quite formal when I used to commute in 10 years ago. And I'm looking around going, there's only 3 people in this crammed carriage that are in a suit. And it's a proper peak hour train. or a rush hour train, as you'd call it. And that was it. And I'm just going, wow, because everyone's relaxed, and the internet has caused everyone to relax, and there's a lot more flexibility about how we're working and how we want to work, and, you know, as I said, the employee engagement, and it comes down to that. So it's like, so your clothing's been relaxed a lot more, or you're allowed to say whatever you want on the phone, you're allowed to say whatever you want on email. Surely you can show a bit of personality on social media. So I think a lot of it is the trying to work closely with comms so that you get a structure in place that they accept, where they're not scared that you're going to tarnish the brand, because there's still so much fear between HR and recruitment and comms. But also making it so it's easy to understand. Like, please don't post photos that you wouldn't post in front of your grandmother, for example. You know, it doesn't need to be complicated. And mystifying it. I've had the old school. So just sitting down and actually talking about it and saying, well, what's your fear of sharing stuff? Well, I don't want to get in trouble with comms. I don't want to lose my job. Okay, well, this is what we think. What do you think? And then it's also maybe starting with those people who are naturally really excited about social media and already excited about the company. You know, you're not going to go to the dinosaur who's not going to go into social media and hates the company and ask them to share stuff. Go and find your champions in the business and let them start doing it, because they're probably doing it anyway, and just show how natural they're being. Because you don't want it to be fake. You just want it to be just natural. Just natural. This is the day. This is what we're up to. And so I know that was a complicated answer, but it kind of covers a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that there is a separation these days between our personal and professional lives? Like, is this, you know, on Facebook, like, should I be thinking people are going to look me up on Facebook? I guess if my
privacy... I'm going to look you up on Facebook. I've already looked you up on Facebook.
You've already looked me up on Facebook.
I haven't. No, I just want to watch your face react. But why not? So all of the same tools that the recruiters are using to map across social networks are very, very easy to find people. Again, you've got an unusual name. I've got an unusual name. We're easy to find on social media. So yeah, it's a given that you're going to be on there. And I think it's the user's responsibility now to lock it down and to kind of go, okay, well, maybe we don't want those photos to be public. Let's untag ourselves, or, you know, just hide them away and be a little bit more careful. But I think anybody should be doing that anyway from a future job opportunity point of view. You know, maybe you don't want to share your Amsterdam photos on Facebook for the world to see, maybe. But do I think the barriers are cross? I see, I'm a real kind of open book. So most people add me on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, whatever. If I kind of vaguely know you, you get added. I haven't sort of separated out. I know there are people that have like their different lists that they share stuff to. So there are people that are really like just their friends network get certain stuff, and the acquaintances get someone else. I haven't been bothered with that. But I do see it breaking down. I do think that people are just being themselves and not being so concerned, because you are yourself every other area of your life. Why do you have to have Facebook's this, you know, LinkedIn's this? But I think the more networking features that LinkedIn has removed as well, it's become very, very difficult to use it as a networking tool to keep in touch with business contacts and professional contacts. So people have shifted. So be it they've gone to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. There's 1,000 other networks they could have gone to, of course. You know, the Facebook groups are amazing for networking and keeping in touch with people. So people have shifted and a bit more relaxed about it, I think. So in my opinion, the barrier has been dropped down, but I'm probably not the best person to ask because I'm an open book. So
this might be kind of a silly question, but why do you think that people are more open and more ready to engage with putting themselves out there as opposed to somebody who's not?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, well, one, it's easy to start a conversation with them. So if you think of the job seekers who perhaps really want to come and work for your company but don't see a vacancy, and they can find you and start tweeting with you, and they can keep engaging and become known, liked and trusted. So I'm very ever teaching recruiters to do that with sort of sought after candidates. But on the flip side, you know, job seekers find someone they can communicate with and a way into the company. And also not every job is advertised. So if they've got something to just chit chat to you about that's not so formal. Like, not everybody who's working in an accounting firm, or anyone wanting to work in that firm, wants to just hear about the latest tax news and accounting news. Perhaps they just want to see, like, oh, the charity event that you're doing, or the cycle to work policy, or whatever, but just natural stuff to engage with. That's a bit more relaxed, I think. I don't know. I mean, you can't make people do it. There are recruiters out there who, oh, you're in the dark.
Yeah, we. I guess that was
lighting.
The light just went off, but I'm back.
You're a hiding recruiter. What a shame I couldn't have timed that better. The right moment. Gone dark. But yeah, I mean, there are recruiters out there who will forever resist and be just like, I'm not doing that. And I just think that they'll find it more challenging. The noisier the marketplace gets, half the world is on the internet now. It's a damn busy place. And if you just think about people's day to day, you've got Slack channels open and email open, the phone's going off, you've got real life colleagues in front of you. There's so much noise. Those seconds, you could just be somebody that is looks like a very easy person to talk to.
Do you think that there's content that's more important than others? So, like, let's say like I'm a super busy recruiter and I just don't even have the headspace to really concentrate on this. And I've got to choose between doing like the company branding stuff and the personal kind of humanizing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, which of those two should I focus on? And is there any specific type of content within that general bucket that you think I should really have?
So it's really hard for the generalist recruiter, because they find it quite hard. But, say you're a recruiter in an architecture firm and you're recruiting architects, you can go to a site like Feedly and find lots of news about architecture. You can put it into Buffer or Hootsuite and you can have it auto posting out onto your different sites. And that can take you 5 or 10 minutes every morning in your morning cup of coffee. That's a no-brainer. And then in the middle of that, you just take a photo here or there and put it out. We're not talking about stuff that takes hours to compose. It's just, quick stuff. I mean, I've got a hack set up on my Instagram that will take the photo from Instagram straight to Twitter automatically. You don't even know it's come from Instagram. It's from the site called If This Then That, the IFT. And it's just one photo, make some filters, make the office dog look great, stick some hashtags on, it's out on the other side. So, but I'm just doing that as part of my day. Something grabs my attention. Here's me on a thing with Phil. Actually, I haven't taken a photo and tweeted that yet. Normally I'd have tweeted that already. It's just.
Do you think that'd be appropriate?
I find they're just working it into their day.
Do you think a photo like that would be appropriate for LinkedIn?
Okay, so how does one answer that one? What, a photo of you and I in our webinar, or the office dog?
Oh no, like your like like your dog or something like that,
If you wanted to highlight, so the bring dog to work policy, or like CA technologies, I mean, unbelievable. So you get a new pet, you get 3 days of leave. If your dog dies, you get 3 days of leave. I mean, that's amazing. So if you want to highlight that as a benefit to recruit some dog lovers, yeah, sure, why not? But I see people doing it now, and the reason that it's become worse and worse and more like Facebook is because of the way the settings are, which means the post visibility is so low. My last blog post on there, which is meant to be notified to 4,500 people, has had 17 views because nobody's been told about it, because all the settings have been changed. And you're just going, great, thanks for that. I'm so glad I'm blogging on your platform. It's like the visibility of everything is so bad that people are doing those kind of things where they're like, okay, maybe it's not appropriate to share my dog photo, but I'm trying to get some attention here for this role, so I will. So unfortunately, they think they're a job board now. They don't think they're a social network. So
here's a question where the answer is probably it depends, but let's say I'm a recruiter and I want to get in touch with Mary, who's a engineer at Zalando. And
so you can't poach out of my client. I'd be so upset.
Okay, so not Zalando.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
She's an engineer at Amazon. I really want to get in touch with Mary.
Yeah.
And I see that she's into the New York Yankees.
Right.
And I'm a baseball fan.
Yep.
way? Am I sending her an email and the first line is like, hey, Mary, I saw you're a huge Yankees fan. I'm a huge Red Sox fan. Is it a tweet to her saying, hey, like, how about them Yankees? Like, they got that guy in the trade. Is it a video that I record?
Okay, so they're all different networks. So there's different ways of approaching, right? First and foremost, software engineer in mail, nah. Right?
Right. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get their email address and you want to send them a fantastic email that catches their attention at 6 a.m. when they roll over and use their phone as their alarm clock and clear their notifications. And I would be starting it with, I don't know, do you have Yankees tickets? I don't know. Would you love to work for a company with a benefit as Yankees tickets? I don't know. You'd need to have a subject line that got that. I know somebody was, I wish I could remember who as well, was talking about where the office overlooked, actually, I think it was Katrina Collier from Recruiting Daily was talking about this, where the office overlooked, say, the baseball pitch. How would you like to look at the Yankees pitch all day? And like, there's a subject line, you're going to open the email, right? But you don't launch into the job. You launch into their interest. I mean, other ways you could do it. So if you're on Twitter, would be just engage with them about sport. And again, become that known, liked, and trusted. Twitter's the long game. It's the one where you've got to keep engaging with people and replying and adding comments and just being really natural. Even though your long game is to recruit that person, you've got to build the trust. As far as video, I mean, I think sending video chats via Facebook Messenger is quite cute. The new messaging Facebook requests.
Yeah.
You can send them a video.
I think
yeah. So it's try. We talked about that before, didn't we? So it's try.
Yeah.
It's something that's different, but I just think you've got to make sure that you show you've done your research. I mean, there was that tweet that went viral a while back where this guy, a Google recruiter, sent this guy a LinkedIn email and used all the skills that were on his LinkedIn profile, and it is an absolutely brilliant email. I love it. However, it took the guy 11 months to open it. And then the Google recruiter reopened his Twitter account after 2 years to respond to the tweets that were going viral. So I don't know how he heard about it, but he did. And you're going, a Google recruiter didn't get a response for 11 months from somebody and they wrote a completely personalized email. But that's right, because it was the wrong way to do it. If he'd sent an email direct to this guy's email account, then he'd have got a response sooner. And then if he'd followed it up with a telephone call or followed it up with something, a message on WhatsApp or something, he didn't follow it up. So even though it was a brilliant start, you've just got to make sure you're using the right, if that makes sense, the right. I can't think of the word. Media.
Modality, the right modality.
That one.
What about somebody who's like, you know what, Katrina, like, that sounds really great, but I've got to fill ASAP. I've just got to like start pounding people. I got to get messages out there.
Yeah.
I don't have time to tweet at people, to do research on them and all this other stuff just for them to respond to me in 10 months or tell me, you know, if this isn't the job for me. I just need like tons of pipeline.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who said that?
So you've got your sites for your quick wins. I mean, you've got your LinkedIns and your Facebooks, et cetera, to quickly find someone and quickly get in contact with them. But when you're talking about those people with highly sought after skills who are in short supply, that's the long game. Because you could be picking them up in 2 years' time. But also, who do they know? Like, I always give this example where Doris in my street is a science teacher and is nowhere to be seen on social media. But I know her and I've got her phone number in my phone. So if I happen to know you're looking for a science teacher in London, I'll go, here's Doris, here's a number. Because you've gained my trust. So therefore, I'll pass it on. So it's doing the two, and it doesn't take all day. That's the thing. Once you start, it doesn't take all day. It's just a natural part of what you're doing, is building these talent pools, but building much more sort of socially engaging ones. And there's lots of fantastic tools out there as well that, you know, these are people that you've found that you haven't yet put into your applicant tracking system. So there's tools like Hello Talent, where you can sort of say, well, here's Phil's profile. And I found, using some of the Chrome extensions, his LinkedIn, his Twitter, his Facebook, his Instagram, and you can save them all in there in one place, fully tagged, so that you know the next developer role, you can go straight back and find out and quickly click through and go, oh yeah, he's just tweeting about that. Well, I'll mention that when I'm talking to him. And again, show that I've done my research. But it sounds like you're spending hours, but you're not. And that's the important thing that I can't say enough. I'm not asking anybody to spend hours researching one potential applicant. it just wouldn't work that way. So,
and it sounds a lot more fun than sending lots of boilerplate messages to people. Like you're actually, you're learning about them, you're having real conversations.
Yeah.
After your own personality. I'm
sure Stacey Zappa quoted 13% response rate for LinkedIn Recruiter earlier in the year at one of the conferences I was at. So that's an 87% fail rate. So that, I'll run a quick search on LinkedIn Recruiter and mass mail. People who can actually turn those off as well. They can mute the lot. And I can do this mass spray. So could you imagine someone coming up and going, Phil, let's have that open heart surgery. There's an 87% chance that it's going to fail. And you're going to go, no. But why is it we think that's fine for an email? So the mass messaging isn't working. So I understand why they feel the need to do that. But there's just so much more that they could be doing. If they're getting people into their own talent pool and they're keeping in touch with those people regularly in a really lovely way with a CRM, like consumer marketing, going back to that again, where I bought a pair because, I'm going to Uganda on Friday night. So I've got those really sexy Echo sandal things on, that look like half trainer, half sandal. God, they're gorgeous. But they've already been in touch with me several times via email. So why not sort of take that mentality of the people who've at least shown an interest in your company by keeping in touch with them with all the things you were talking about, the videos and the testimonials, and this is a day in the life of, oh, by the way, here's our jobs. Like taking that look at it as well. I'm waffling a bit, sorry. I'm getting on my soapbox. I can feel it.
No, I think you're 100% right. It's all these consumer marketing has figured out to engage with people, to keep them interested, to strike at the right times.
Yeah.
Why not learn from these best practices?
So, I went on to made.com and looked at a futon. Because I was thinking, actually, I'd get one in my office. This would be quite handy for everyone who comes here and stays. And they obviously have pixels on the page that I was on, because the next second when I'm on Facebook, there's the futon. When I'm on Instagram, there's the futon. Well, why not just take those little pixels and put them on your job? So at least if you've found them on social media, they've clicked through, but they haven't applied there and then because they're thinking about it. Well, it's going to keep popping up in front of them to remind them. It was interesting, actually. Karen Azulay is an excellent sourcer in Israel. Has just written a piece about that, actually, because she was approached by a company and she actually took 2 full days to go back to them because she's currently freelance, but they caught her attention, but she took 48 hours to go back, and then they came back with a bit more information. Then she took another week to go back to them. So I think sometimes we are too hurried as well, because we have to be, because the hiring manager is giving us pressure. But it's actually, maybe sometimes we need to look at it the other way and go, well, wouldn't we want a little bit of time to process? So maybe we do need a follow-up and reminder, but let's just space it out, right? Things like that as well.
So good. Is there like a last word of wisdom you'd like to leave us with around this topic of humanizing your employer brand, getting your recruiters, or if I am a recruiter, to sort of like show off my personality and all these things?
We're doing it anyway, right? We do it at work anyway. So let's just keep it genuine and take it out there. But people are people. Let's get away from calling them resources and candidates and talent and whatever, techies and all this kind of stuff everyone finds offensive. We are people. We all have our different bits of personality. So it's about, being interested in those people and being somebody that they want to talk to. But, recruiters should be people anyway. So it's just take it and just show it. That's it. I think we've got too much away into the corporate and just come back to being human.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
That's my rant.
End rant. Well,
about it. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say thanks a lot for coming on. I've really enjoyed the things that you say. I think that I always am drawing the parallel between recruiting and sales and marketing, and I think that there is a tremendous amount, as you point out, that we've learned, retargeting, whatever else kind of works. But then also on the flip side, I think honestly, like a lot of the advice that you're giving is things that sales folks could learn from. How do you humanize yourself when you reach out to that prospect? Maybe there's some entrepreneurs on here who are running their own, mini RPO or something like that. How do you stand out from the crowd and build that personal relationship. And really, for me, I think it comes back to this whole notion of just like, that's just like a more enjoyable existence than sending boilerplate messages, to actually have fun and interact with people. So
for sure. And actually, just on that, just looking at the consumer point of view, so I hate NatWest Bank because I don't like my business banking manager. So the entire bank I don't like because of one person, because it's a person-to-person interaction and she's not treating me well. So again, I think that's why I keep going on about the person side. So I'm sure all of us have an experience where we don't like a specific company because of a person.
Yeah.
Not because of the company, because the logo is not doing anything wrong.
Right.
The branding's not really bothering you that much, but some human being was quite rude to you. Or the flip side, you love a company because every time you go in there, the people make you feel really welcome. It's the same thing. Let's just bring it back out. There you go.
Yeah.
Final rant. Final rant. So,
no, I love it.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, yeah, thank you, and we'll put together some.
I have to Snapchat you.
This and throw it on our blog. So look for that. Are you taking a picture?
I did. I Snapchatted you. You didn't look very happy. Do you want to be waving?
I'll do a peace sign. This is my personality. Peace, not war.
Oh, okay. Wait, I missed it. Sorry, you're saying important stuff. Do your peace thing. I need your peace thing.
Yeah.
Got you.
Awesome.
Thank you for that.
All right. Well, thanks again, Katrina, and thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks. Take care.